tell you, we must be doing something right. Can you believe the sun is back out here? Amazing. We have been weathering the rain, the thunder, the storms down here in Alabama to what we call a wake-up call for this country, talking to women in Tutwiler Prison down here in Alabama. Before we left, we were speaking with Helen Carruthers here. She's a former warden and the past president of the American Corrections Association. She's currently with the U.S. Department of Justice. Also joining us is Brenda Smith. Brenda is the director of the Women in Prison Project at the National Women's Law Center in Washington, D.C. And we're also joined by the warden here at Tutwiler, Shirley Lobmiller, who has been so kind to open this facility and these lovely ladies to us. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Thank you for coming.
As you have been listening, Brenda, what can you tell us on an overall situation about what is happening with women in this nation and why so many women, particularly mothers, are ending up behind bars? What is happening?
Well, I think that what you're seeing in terms of the increase in numbers is I think that you're really seeing women who are casualties of our war on drugs. When you ask people to hold up their hands and say how many people were here for drug offenses, you saw what we see nationally, which is over the past 10 years, you know, the numbers have increased, so 1 in 3 women are doing time for drug offenses. You're also seeing a system where what has happened is at one time we used to think that the worst thing that could happen is that somebody could be chronically dependent on public assistance. Now the end of the line for low-income, vulnerable women is prison. And increasingly, that will be what happens. I think that what we also have to be aware of is that while we have Tutwiler, which has programs and which has a very open policy, we couldn't do this in most prisons. And in particular, in most women's prisons. They're very closed environments. And what happens is oftentimes there's not as much willingness to have somebody shine the light on what's going on. In many prisons, there aren't educational or vocational programs. They're not drug programs. They're not programs that assist people to deal with the remnants, the issues around violence.
So what happens is when they get out, they're not prepared to get back in society, and once again, they like come the back habitual offenders like Deborah and Sheila there, they end up here 2, 3, 4 times.
They keep making the same bad choices over and over again.
I'm going to tell you something that scares me, and Kenyatta, I'm going to bring you up here. Kenyatta, come on, Kenyatta, stand up. Kenyatta is the youngest inmate here at Tutwiler. She is in for how long? You're in for
murder, and I have a life sentence.
And you have a life sentence. And you were how old?
17.
And you were put here at what age?
I came here at the age 16.
At the age of 16. What in the world? How did you end up murdering somebody? I mean, I look at her, sweet as she can be. I've been talking to her all through the show. How did you end up murdering somebody, Kenyatta?
Well, first of all, I didn't murder anyone. I was accessory to the fact.
You were an accessory. And just because you were hanging with the wrong crowd, you will spend the rest of your life here in prison?
No, I have a life sentence with parole.
With parole. What exactly happened? Can you talk about that?
Well, not really, but I was just with someone at the time, and a murder took place during a robbery.
During a robbery. And a kidnapping?
No.
No kidnapping, just a robbery. Okay. What have you... There's so many other young girls out there. I mean, anything that you would say based upon what you saw, what you experienced, and what you're dealing with today?
I would say stay in school, listen to your parents, because I wish I had listened to someone, and maybe I wouldn't be here today.
So now, what are you going to do with your time here now?
Well, I set goals for myself, and I'm going to school, and I'll be taking my GED May the 4th.
Okay.
And I'm working on my degree in data processing and
You
computers.
are very good. So when you get on parole, you're going to be prepared to be self-sufficient, to be strong, and maybe you can come out there and counsel some of those young people who are heading down the wrong path.
I'd like to.
I'd like you to. Okay? All right. We'll be right back in a minute. Good girl. Good girl. You did a good job. You did a good job. Thank you. talking with some of the ladies here during the break. I know that we were talking about that there is help for drug addiction before you end up in prison. There is help for battered women, families in crisis. Basically what the women are saying is get help before that happens. You certainly don't want to be a mother among this group that is missing their children. Deborah, your story was really affecting me. You have 4 children out, and one of the things that I really liked about what you were saying, even though it brought so many tears to all of our eyes, is that you wanted to say to your child that you were sorry. We're going to give you that opportunity. Okay? This is your little girl, Empress, and your son. Oh, God, look at this. Oh, look. Oh, Empress, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you. Yeah. Can you handle all these babies? There you go. Oh, Empress. Deborah, I understand you haven't seen Empress. She's 15 months old now. Deborah has not seen her since she was 4 months old. And you have your little son here, too. Now, tell me, you are her grandmother, Empress's grandmother. And how are you? You know, there's so many grandmothers raising children now. Tell me how you're faring with this. What kind of pressure does this put on a family, and how you're dealing with it?
Mommy, it's a lot of pressure sometimes, but I just pray and keep going.
Keep going.
If someone has to do it.
I tell you, you grandmothers are keeping families together these days. You are. We'll be right back. There you go. Hey, we're talking to Ms. McKeith in here, who is one of the angels on earth, if you ask me. We were looking at some shots here. She's got to be. 7 children that she's raising right now because these children's parents are incarcerated. There's ladies like you who are keeping these families somewhat together. And anything that you would say as we say goodbye here, anything that you want to say?
All I say is all the ladies just hurry home.